I was standing in line at the grocery store when my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Just a screenshot. No explanation, no context, just an image that would detonate my entire life. The photo showed a text conversation between my wife Amanda and someone saved in her phone as PT. The timestamp was from 2 hours ago, while I'd been sitting in a budget meeting at work, completely oblivious. Can't wait to feel you inside me again? Tonight? Your husband working late? He always is. 9 p.m. at the usual place? My hands went numb. The gallon of milk I'd been holding hit the floor and exploded, white liquid spreading across the linoleum like a crime scene. The cashier was saying something, but her words sounded like they were coming from underwater. Other shoppers stepped around me, annoyed at the obstacle I'd become. I stumbled outside to my car, my legs operating on autopilot while my brain tried to process what I'd just seen. Amanda, my wife of 8 years. The mother of our 2 daughters, Emily and Grace. The woman who'd cried in my arms last month when her father died. Who I'd held through the night. Who I'd promised I'd always be there for. The same woman who was apparently planning to meet someone named PT in, I checked my watch, 4 hours. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. Thought you should know. She's been doing this for 6 months. I'm sorry. I typed back with shaking fingers. Who is this? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response came. I sat in my Accord in the grocery store parking lot as the November sun started its descent, trying to remember how to breathe. 6 months. Half a year of lies. How many times had she looked me in the eye and smiled while carrying this secret? How many times had we made love while she was thinking about him? The logical part of my brain, the part that had earned me a senior analyst position at Fitzgerald and Associates, kicked into gear. I needed information. I needed proof. I needed to know if this was real or some elaborate mistake. I pulled up our cell phone account. We were on a family plan, and I had access to all the records. There it was. A number she'd been texting constantly. Hundreds of messages over the past 6 months, usually during my work hours. The call logs showed conversations lasting 20, 30, sometimes 40 minutes. All to the same number. My chest felt like someone had parked a truck on it. I drove home in a daze, muscle memory guiding me through familiar streets in our suburban Denver neighborhood. Our house, a modest 3-bedroom ranch we'd bought 5 years ago, looked exactly as it always did. Amanda's Subaru sat in the driveway. Inside, I could see lights on in the kitchen. Everything looked normal. Everything looked like a lie. I parked on the street instead of pulling into the driveway. Through the front window, I could see Amanda moving around the kitchen, probably starting dinner. She was wearing her yoga pants and one of my old college sweatshirts, her dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked beautiful. She looked like my wife. She looked like a stranger. I couldn't go in there, not yet. Not without a plan. Instead, I called my friend Tyler, one of the few people I trusted completely. We'd been roommates in college, stood up in each other's weddings, and he'd never once sugarcoated anything. Jackson? His voice was cheerful. What's up, man? I need to crash at your place tonight. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. The cheerfulness evaporated. What happened? I think Amanda's having an affair. Silence stretched between us. Then, I'm texting you my address. Get over here now. Don't go inside. Don't confront her yet. Just come here. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in Tyler's apartment in Capitol Hill, showing him the screenshots while he poured whiskey into 2 glasses. Holy hell, he muttered, scrolling through the phone records I'd pulled up. This is extensive, Jack. This isn't a one-time thing. 6 months, apparently. I took the whiskey and downed it in one burning gulp. Tyler refilled my glass. Who sent you the original screenshot? No idea. Unknown number. Could be the guy's wife or girlfriend. Someone who found out and wanted you to know. He drummed his fingers on his kitchen table. What are you going to do? That was the question, wasn't it? What was I going to do? I need proof, I said slowly. Real proof. Not just text messages that could theoretically be explained away. I need to know for certain before I blow up my daughter's lives. Tyler nodded. She said 9 tonight at the usual place. You could follow her. The thought made me sick, but he was right. I needed to see this with my own eyes. I needed to be absolutely certain before I destroyed everything we'd built. I'll need your car, I said. She knows mine. Take it. Tyler tossed me his keys. You want me to come with you? I shook my head. This is something I need to do alone. At 7:30, I was parked down the street from our house in Tyler's Honda, watching. My phone kept buzzing with texts from Amanda. Where are you? Dinner's ready. Jack, everything okay? The girls are asking for you. Each message felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Emily was 6, Grace was 4. They had no idea their world was about to implode. At 8:40, Amanda emerged from the house wearing jeans and a nice sweater, the blue one I'd bought her for her birthday. She'd put on makeup, done her hair. She looked like she was going on a date, because she was. I followed her Subaru through the familiar streets of our neighborhood, keeping 2 car lengths back. Tyler's Honda was anonymous enough. Dark blue, nothing distinctive. Amanda turned onto Colfax, heading east toward the city center. The traffic was thick enough that I could hang back without losing her. My phone buzzed. Tyler. You good? Following her now. Colfax eastbound. Stay calm. Just observe. Don't do anything stupid. I almost laughed. What constituted stupid at this point? My wife was driving to meet her lover while I tailed her like some bargain private investigator. The entire situation had blown past stupid 6 months ago. Amanda's brake lights flared as she turned into a parking garage off 14th Street. I drove past, circling the block before pulling into a metered spot with a view of the garage entrance. My hands were steadier now. The shock had crystallized into something harder, colder. 9:03 p.m. She was late to her own affair. I watched the garage entrance. 5 minutes passed. 10. At 9:17, Amanda emerged on foot, walking quickly down the sidewalk. She'd changed in the car. The casual jacket was gone, revealing a black dress I'd never seen before. Her hair was down now, falling past her shoulders the way it had when we first met. She looked beautiful. She looked like she was going to dinner with her husband. She looked like a stranger. I got out of the car and followed on the opposite side of the street. She walked 3 blocks to a boutique hotel I'd never noticed before, the kind of place that probably charged by the hour, but had enough brass fixtures to pretend otherwise. The Belmont, according to the discreet sign. Amanda didn't go inside. She stood near the entrance, checking her phone, glancing up and down the street. Waiting. A black Escalade pulled up at 9:24. The driver's door opened and a man got out. Tall, maybe 6'2", expensive suit, salt and pepper hair. Older than me, mid-40s probably. He smiled at Amanda, and she smiled back, and then he kissed her. Not a peck. A real kiss. The kind that said they'd done this before, many times before. The kind of kiss that confirmed every worst fear I'd been nursing for the past 4 hours. I raised my phone and started recording. My hands didn't shake. The analytical part of my brain had taken over completely, cataloging details. The man's build, his license plate. I zoomed in, Colorado tags, XJK4892. The timestamp, the way Amanda's hand rested on his chest. They went inside together. His hand was on the small of her back, guiding her. Proprietary. Familiar. I stood there on the sidewalk for maybe 30 seconds, phone still raised, recording an empty hotel entrance. Then I lowered it and walked back to Tyler's car. The drive back to Capitol Hill was automatic. I don't remember making the turns. Tyler was waiting at his apartment door when I arrived, 2 glasses of whiskey already poured. "Well?" he asked. "I got video. Him kissing her. Both of them going into a hotel." Tyler nodded slowly. "You recognize the guy?" "Never seen him before in my life." I pulled up the video, froze it on the license plate, and ran a reverse lookup on my phone. The database search took 45 seconds. When the results populated, I stared at the screen for a long moment before handing the phone to Tyler. "Holy hell," Tyler said. "David Brennan, CEO of Brennan Medical Solutions." I knew the company. Medical equipment supplier, contracts with half the hospitals in Colorado. The kind of business that generated serious money. "Married?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. Tyler was already searching. "Yeah. Wife's name is Jennifer. 2 kids, teenagers. They live in Cherry Hills Village." He looked up at me. "Jackson, this guy's worth at least 20 million. The number meant nothing to me. What registered was the word married. PT had a wife. PT had children. This wasn't just my life exploding. It was theirs too. "There's something else," Tyler said, still scrolling through his phone. "Brennan Medical Solutions. They do fertility services too. Surrogacy coordination, IVF support, medical equipment for fertility clinics." The words hit me like cold water. "What did you just say?" "Fertility services. It's part of their business model. They coordinate with—" Tyler stopped, his eyes widening. "Oh no. Jackson, doesn't Amanda work as a surrogate coordinator?" She did. She'd started 2 years ago, working from home, helping connect intended parents with surrogate mothers. It was flexible, it paid well, and she'd been so passionate about it. Helping families who couldn't have children on their own. Making dreams come true. I'd been so proud of her. "Pull up everything you can find on Brennan Medical Solutions," I said, "especially anything related to their surrogacy program." Tyler's fingers flew across his phone screen. I pulled out my own phone, opening Amanda's text messages, scrolling back through months of conversations. Most were mundane, grocery lists, scheduling, updates about the girls. But there were gaps. Whole days where she barely texted me at all. "Jackson," Tyler's voice was tight, "you need to see this." He turned his laptop around. On the screen was a news article from 3 months ago. Brennan Medical Solutions expands surrogacy services, partners with Elite Family Coordination. Elite Family Coordination. Amanda's company. The one she'd told me she worked for as an independent contractor. I clicked through to the company website. Professional photos, testimonials from happy families, a mission statement about making parenthood possible. And there, on the Our Team page, was Amanda's photo. Amanda Reeves, Senior Surrogate Coordinator. Next to her photo was David Brennan's, founder and CEO. "They work together," I said slowly. "This whole time she's been working directly with him." "That's how they met," Tyler said. The affair started through work. But my mind was racing ahead, connecting dots I didn't want to connect. Surrogacy coordination, fertility services, Amanda's passionate speeches about helping families, the way she'd started traveling more for client meetings over the past year. Tyler, how does surrogacy normally work? Legally, I mean. He frowned. I'm not an expert, but intended parents hire a surrogate, usually through an agency. The surrogate carries the baby, which is created using IVF, either the intended parent's genetic material or donors. Everything's documented, contracts signed, medical records kept. Why? What if someone wasn't following those protocols? Tyler's expression changed. What are you thinking? I pulled up Amanda's email on my phone. We shared a family account that synced across devices. I'd never had a reason to look through her messages before. Privacy, trust, all those things that seemed quaint now. I started searching for keywords: surrogate, contract, medical, IVF. What I found made my blood run cold. Dozens of emails to different couples. Excited messages about your baby, and the surrogate is doing wonderfully, and just a few more weeks until you meet your son/daughter. Standard coordinator language, probably. Except I recognized some of the due dates. They overlapped. Multiple couples being told their babies were due within days of each other. That's not unusual, right? I asked Tyler, showing him the screen. A coordinator would handle multiple surrogates at once? Sure, but... Tyler scrolled through the messages, his frown deepening. These emails are weird. She's not talking about different surrogates. Look, she tells this couple, the Johnsons, that your surrogate Sarah is due December 15th. Then she tells the Pattersons that your surrogate Sarah is due December 18th. Same name, same time frame. Could be two different Sarahs. Could be. Tyler kept scrolling. But here, she tells the Johnsons their baby will have your husband's eyes. I just know it. And here, she tells the Pattersons their baby will have your wife's beautiful smile. Jackson, if this is traditional surrogacy with the intended parent's genetic material. He didn't finish. He didn't have to. I searched for Sarah surrogate in Amanda's emails. 15 results. All from the past 6 months. All to different couples. All promising them their biological child. All referencing the same surrogate. All with due dates clustered around mid-December. This isn't possible, I said. One surrogate can't be carrying multiple babies for multiple families unless she's lying to all of them, Tyler finished. Unless there's only one baby and she's promised it to multiple families. My chest tightened. Or unless she's running multiple surrogates and telling each family their baby is biologically theirs when it's not. We stared at each other across Tyler's kitchen table. The whiskey sat untouched between us. Jackson, if what you're thinking is true, this isn't just an affair. This is fraud, I said. This is fraud. Maybe worse. I thought about David Brennan, his medical supply company, his access to fertility clinics, to surrogates, to desperate families willing to pay anything for a child. I thought about Amanda, working from home, traveling for client meetings, passionate about helping families. I thought about the text message that started all this. Can't wait to see you tonight. Same place, 9 p.m. I've been thinking about what you said about the Peterson baby. The Peterson baby. Not our night together, or I miss you. The Peterson baby. I need to see those emails, I said. All of them. Everything related to surrogacy, to clients, to Brennan Medical Solutions. The emails painted a picture that made my stomach turn. I sat at Tyler's kitchen table, my laptop screen glowing in the dim apartment, while he paced behind me with his phone pressed to his ear. "Yeah, I need everything you can pull on elite family coordination," Tyler said into the phone. "Business registration, ownership documents, financial records if you can swing it." He paused, listening. "I know it's after hours, Brian. That's why I'm calling you instead of going through normal channels." I scrolled through another batch of Amanda's emails. 3 different couples, 3 sets of promises. One surrogate named Kelly Martinez, who, according to the medical records Amanda had forwarded, was currently 28 weeks pregnant with a single child. The Pattersons in Boulder thought they were getting their biological daughter in 12 weeks. DNA test results, which I now suspected were fabricated, showed Robert Patterson's sperm had successfully fertilized the donor egg. The Kowalskis in Fort Collins had been told the exact same thing. Their biological son, same surrogate, same due date, different DNA results with Thomas Kowalski listed as the biological father. The third couple, the Bishops from Denver, had received identical promises. Their biological child, Kelly Martinez as surrogate. Due date, February 14th. Each couple had paid $85,000 up front. Another $40,000 due upon delivery. "How many babies is this woman supposedly carrying?" Tyler asked, hanging up his phone and leaning over my shoulder. "Just one, according to her actual medical records." I pulled up the ultrasound image Amanda had sent to all 3 couples. Same image, same timestamp, same single fetus visible in the grainy black and white photo. But she's promised it to 3 different families. Jesus. Tyler grabbed his whiskey glass, found it empty, and set it down hard enough to rattle. "So what's the plan? She delivers in 12 weeks, hands the baby to whoever shows up first, and ghosts the other 2? Maybe." I opened another folder, this one labeled Delivered 2024. My hands started shaking before I even clicked the first file. Or maybe this isn't the first time. The folder contained records for 7 completed surrogacy arrangements over the past 18 months. 7 babies delivered. 7 happy families who'd paid elite family coordination between $110,000 and $150,000 for the service. I started cross-referencing the dates and surrogate names against the records in Amanda's active cases folder. "Tyler, yeah? Look at this." I turned the laptop so he could see both windows side by side. Jennifer Hayes delivered a baby boy on March 15th this year. The Mitchells paid $125,000 and took their son home from the hospital. Okay. Jennifer Hayes was also supposedly carrying for the Carters. Due date March 20th. They paid $120,000 up front. I pulled up the email chain. Amanda told them there were complications. The baby was stillborn. She refunded them $30,000 for their loss and offered a discount on their next attempt. Tyler's face went pale. "You're saying the same baby went to 2 families? One family got a baby. One family got a story about a stillbirth and a partial refund." I opened another file. Here's another one. Melissa Torres delivered twins in June. The Andersons paid $180,000 and went home with twin girls. And the Walkers were also expecting twins from Melissa Torres. Same due date. Amanda told them one twin died in utero at 32 weeks, and the surviving twin had severe health complications. She convinced them to terminate the arrangement, refunded them $40,000 of their $175,000 deposit. Holy hell! Tyler sat down hard in the chair across from me. How many? I spent the next 20 minutes going through every file. The pattern repeated 7 times. 7 surrogates. 14 families. 7 babies delivered to ecstatic parents. 7 families told stories of stillbirths, complications, or health issues that ended their arrangements with partial refunds. She's been running this for at least 18 months, I said finally. Maybe longer. These are just the records on her current laptop. And Brennan? I pulled up the financial records Tyler's contact had emailed over 10 minutes ago. Elite Family Coordination was registered as an LLC in Delaware. 2 owners, Amanda Porter and David Brennan. 50-50 split. The business account showed deposits totaling over $2.1 million in the past 2 years. Withdrawals included payments to surrogates, legitimate documented payments that matched medical records. Rent for a small office in downtown Denver. Medical fees paid to several fertility clinics, all of them owned or operated by Brennan Medical Solutions. But there were also regular transfers to a separate account. $400,000 over 18 months, moved in chunks of $20,000 to $50,000, always within a week of a delivered baby. Where's that money going? Tyler asked. Personal account, joint ownership. I clicked through the bank records. Amanda Porter and David Brennan. We sat in silence for a moment. Outside Tyler's apartment, someone's car alarm went off, then stopped. So they're partners, Tyler said. Not just screwing around. They built this whole operation together. Looks like it. I thought about the texts from this morning, the hotel meeting. Can't wait to see you. Maybe the affair is real too, or maybe that's just part of the partnership. Does it matter? He was right. It didn't. Whether Amanda loved David Brennan or just loved the money, the result was the same. They were selling babies to multiple families, lying to half of them, and pocketing hundreds of thousands of dollars. My phone buzzed. Amanda. Girls are asking for you again. When are you coming home? I stared at the message. Emily and Grace. Our daughters. The children Amanda had carried and delivered and loved. Or at least, I'd thought she loved them. Had she been planning this even then? Had she looked at our newborn daughters and seen dollar signs? Don't answer that yet, Tyler said, watching my face. We need a plan first. I need evidence. I gestured at the laptop. This is all from her email account. Illegally accessed. Nothing I can take to the police. Brian's working on the business records. Those are public mostly. We can get registration documents, financial filings, anything they submitted to the state. Tyler grabbed his phone again. But you're right. We need something solid. The families, I said slowly. The ones who think they're getting babies. If I can talk to them, get them to show me their contracts, their DNA results, they're not going to trust some random guy calling them up saying their surrogate coordinator is a fraud. No. An idea was forming, cold and clear. But they might trust each other. I pulled up the email Amanda had sent to the Pattersons 3 days ago, confirming their attendance at a surrogate coordination meeting scheduled for tomorrow night. 7 p.m. at the Elite Family Coordination Office downtown. Then I found the email to the Kowalskis. Same meeting. Same time. Same location. The Bishops had received their invitation this morning. She's meeting with all 3 couples, I said. Tomorrow night. All of them thinking they're getting updates on their baby from Kelly Martinez. That's bold. Tyler leaned over to read the emails. What's she gonna tell them? Probably something vague. Health updates, timeline confirmations, keep them all happy and paying. I screenshot the emails and sent them to my personal phone. But what if they all showed up at the same time? She'd cancel, reschedule, make up some emergency. Not if they don't know about each other until they're already there. I was thinking out loud now, working through the logistics. Not if I'm there too, with evidence. You're going to ambush your wife in front of 3 couples who've paid her $250,000 to deliver a baby. I'm going to let them ambush her. I pulled up the contact information for Robert Patterson. Home address in Boulder, phone number, email. I'm going to tell them the truth, show them the evidence, and let them decide what to do with it. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. Then, "You know this blows up everything, right? Not just the business, not just her. You're talking about destroying families. These couples think they're about to become parents." "They are about to become parents," I said. "Just not all of them. And they deserve to know that before Amanda takes their money and hands one of them a baby while telling the others some story about complications. And the baby, Kelly Martinez's actual kid. What happens to that child when 3 different couples show up claiming biological parenthood?" I hadn't let myself think that far ahead. Now the weight of it hit me. A baby, a real, innocent baby, was going to be born into this mess. A child who would grow up knowing they'd been sold like property, promised to multiple families, the center of a fraud scheme. "DNA testing," I said finally. "Court ordered. Figure out who the biological parents actually are. If any of them are." Tyler's voice was grim. "What if Brennan's been using his own sperm? His own eggs? What if none of these couples are actually getting their biological children?" The thought hadn't occurred to me. I pulled up the DNA results Amanda had sent to the Pattersons, then the ones sent to the Kowalskis. Different labs, different letterheads, but both processed through facilities owned by Brennan Medical Solutions. "Oh God," I whispered. "Yeah." Tyler sat back down. "This isn't just fraud. This is human trafficking. This is selling babies." My phone buzzed again. "Amanda." "Jackson? Everything okay? You're scaring me." I looked at the message, at the concern that seemed so genuine. The woman I'd married 8 years ago wouldn't have done this. The woman who'd cried when Emily was born, who'd held Grace against her chest in the hospital and whispered promises about always protecting her. But maybe I'd never known that woman at all. "I need to go home," I said. "Act normal. Keep her from suspecting anything until tomorrow night." "Can you do that? Look her in the eye and pretend everything's fine?" I thought about the hotel, about watching Amanda walk into David Brennan's arms, about the emails and the money and the families she'd lied to. "Yeah," I said. "I can do that." The house was quiet when I got home around midnight. Amanda's Subaru sat in the driveway, all the lights off except the porch light she always left on for me. I sat in the Accord for 5 minutes, watching the dark windows, trying to reconcile the woman sleeping upstairs with the one I'd watched orchestrate fraud against desperate families. My phone buzzed. "Tyler. You good?" "Home. About to go in." "Remember, nothing's changed as far as she knows. You're just getting back from drinks with me." I pocketed the phone and headed inside. The living room looked exactly as I'd left it that morning. Emily's backpack by the couch, Grace's stuffed rabbit on the coffee table, Amanda's laptop closed on the kitchen counter. I stood there in the darkness, listening to the house settle, and wondered how many times she'd sat at that counter, scheduling appointments with families she was actively defrauding. Upstairs, I found her asleep on her side, facing away from me. The covers rose and fell with her breathing. Normal. Everything so goddamn normal. I changed in the bathroom, brushed my teeth, went through the motions. When I slid into bed, she stirred. "You're late," she murmured, not turning over. Tyler and I got talking, lost track of time. Hmm, already drifting back to sleep. Girls missed you at bedtime? I stared at the ceiling until her breathing deepened again, then pulled out my phone under the covers. The folder of evidence glowed in the darkness. Screenshots of bank transfers, photos of the three couples' files, the video of her and Brennan at the hotel. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. All three couples arriving at the same time. I needed one more thing. I called in sick to work the next morning. Amanda left at 8:30 to drop the girls at school, then headed to the Elite Family Coordination office. I waited until her Subaru disappeared around the corner, then grabbed my laptop. Tyler answered on the second ring. "You're supposed to be at work. I need help with something. Can you get away?" "Give me an hour." I spent that hour going through Amanda's laptop. She'd left it unlocked. Why wouldn't she? Her trusting husband would never snoop. The Elite Family Coordination files were all there, organized by family name. I found the Pattersons, Kowalskis, and Bishops, each folder containing contracts, payment schedules, medical records. All three contracts listed Kelly Martinez as their surrogate. All three showed the same due date. All three included DNA confirmation reports from Brennan Medical Solutions showing genetic matches to the intended parents. Impossible. Unless the reports were fabricated. I photographed everything with my phone, then dug deeper. There was a subfolder labeled Archive, Completed. Inside, 7 family names, 7 babies already delivered. I opened each file. The Donnelly family paid $125,000 for a baby boy delivered 4 months ago. DNA report confirmed genetic match. The Lawson family paid $140,000 for a baby boy. Same surrogate as the Donnellys, same delivery date. Report showed stillbirth at 39 weeks. Refund of $60,000 issued. My stomach turned. The same baby. One family got him, one was told he died. I went through the rest. Every completed case had the same pattern. 2 or 3 families, one surrogate, one baby delivered, the others told various stories. Stillbirth. Late-term complications requiring emergency termination. Cord accidents. Each family received partial refunds and, I assumed, fabricated medical documentation explaining the tragedy. Tyler arrived at 9:40. I met him at the door with the laptop. "Jesus Christ," he said, scrolling through the files. "This is worse than we thought. 7 babies. At least 14 families defrauded. Probably more. These are just the completed cases." He pulled up the Donnelly file, then the Lawson file, comparing them side by side. Same surrogate, same dates. How did they think they'd get away with this? "Geography," I said. "Look at the addresses. Donnellys are in Seattle, Lawsons are in Phoenix. The families never meet, never compare notes. They're told everything's confidential for legal reasons. And Brennan controls the medical documentation through his facilities. But what about the actual DNA tests? You can't fake those." I pulled up one of the reports. "Can't you? Brennan owns the labs. He processes the samples. Who's verifying the results? The families just get official-looking documents on Brennan medical letterhead saying the baby is biologically theirs." Tyler sat back. "So what? He's using his own genetic material? These are all his kids?" "Maybe. Or maybe he's got a stable of donors and just matches paperwork to whatever baby the surrogate actually delivers. Either way, none of these families are getting their biological children." We sat in silence. Through the window, I could see Mrs. Patterson from next door getting her mail. Normal Tuesday morning in suburban Denver. Meanwhile, I was uncovering what amounted to human trafficking. "Tonight," Tyler said, You're really doing this tonight? All three couples show up at 7. Amanda thinks she's meeting them separately. Patterson's at 7, Kowalski's at 7:30, Bishop's at 8. I changed the appointment times in her calendar this morning while she was in the shower. She'll notice when she checks her phone. She uses the laptop calendar for work appointments, syncs to her phone, but she doesn't check the phone version. She always pulls up the laptop during meetings to look professional. By the time she realizes they'll all be there. Tyler rubbed his face. And then what? You just tell them? I show them the evidence, the contracts, the bank records, the other families. I've got everything documented. They're going to lose their minds. They deserve to know. I closed the laptop. These people have been trying to have children for years. They've paid everything they have. They're preparing nurseries right now, buying car seats, picking out names. And in 3 weeks, when Kelly Martinez delivers, only one of them gets a baby. The other two get told their child died. What about Kelly? Does she know? I'd thought about that. I don't think so. Her contract shows she's being paid $45,000 for the surrogacy. That's standard rate. I think she believes she's caring for one family, whoever Amanda told her is the intended parents. So she's a victim too. Everyone's a victim except Amanda and Brennan. Tyler stood, paced to the window. You know this is going to blow up your entire life, right? Not just the marriage, the girls, your house, everything. Once this goes public, and it will go public, you're going to be in the middle of a criminal investigation. I know. Amanda could go to prison, the mother of your children. I know. He turned to face me. Are you ready for that? I thought about Emily asking why Mommy wasn't at her school play. Grace crying for her mother at bedtime. Years of supervised visits and explaining to my daughters why their mother couldn't come home. She made this choice, I said. Every time she took money from these families, every time she fabricated a DNA report, every time she told a couple their baby died, she made this choice. I'm just making sure there are consequences. Tyler nodded slowly. Okay, what do you need from me? Be there tonight, in the parking lot. If this goes sideways, if she tries to run or things get out of control, I need backup. I'll be there. After he left, I spent the rest of the day preparing. I created a shared folder with all the evidence, contracts, bank records, the video from the hotel, everything. I drafted an email to all three couples with the folder link, time to send at 7:05 p.m. Insurance, in case Amanda somehow managed to talk her way out of the confrontation. At 3 o'clock, I picked up the girls from school. Emily chattered about her art project. Grace wanted to stop for ice cream. I took them to their favorite place, watched them eat chocolate cones, and tried to memorize every detail. After tonight, nothing would be the same. Amanda got home at 6:15. I was making dinner, spaghetti, the girls' favorite. You're home early, she said, kissing my cheek. The casual intimacy of it made my skin crawl. Feeling better. Figured I'd surprise everyone. Well, I've got to head back out at 6:45. Meeting with a couple at 7. The Pattersons? She looked surprised. Yeah, how did you know? You mentioned them last week, said they were getting close to delivery. Right, she smiled. This is their final check-in before Kelly's due date. They're so excited. I stirred the pasta, keeping my voice level. I bet they are. At 6:40, she headed upstairs to change. I heard the shower running. The girls were in the living room watching cartoons. Everything normal, everything a lie. My phone buzzed. Tyler. In position, silver Honda parked across from the office. I typed back, she's leaving in 10 minutes. Amanda came downstairs at 6:50 in professional clothes. Slacks, blouse, blazer. She looked polished, trustworthy. The kind of person you'd trust with your dreams of having a family. "Don't wait up," she said. "This might run late." "Good luck with the meeting." She kissed me goodbye. I watched her drive away. Then I turned to the girls. "Hey, how about a sleepover at Grandma's tonight?" The Pattersons arrived first at 6:47 p.m. I watched from Tyler's Honda, parked 3 houses down with a clear view of Elite Family Coordination's entrance. The couple looked to be in their mid-30s. The woman wore a cream-colored sweater, her hand resting protectively on her still flat stomach, like she was already imagining the baby there. The man carried a leather folder, probably full of questions and nursery plans. They disappeared inside. My phone sat in my lap, recording everything. I'd set up a camera inside the conference room earlier that afternoon, hidden in a smoke detector I'd installed myself. Amanda had texted me at 4 p.m. "Working late tonight? Big meeting with clients? Don't wait up." I hadn't responded. The Kowalskis pulled up at 6:53 p.m. in a silver minivan. Younger couple, late 20s maybe. She had blonde hair pulled back in a braid, and he wore a polo shirt with khakis, the kind of outfit you wear when you want to look responsible and parent-ready. They held hands walking to the door. 2 couples inside now. Both expecting Kelly Martinez's baby in 4 months. Both believing they'd paid $85,000 for their biological child. Tyler shifted in the driver's seat beside me. "You sure about this?" "No." "Want me to talk you out of it?" "Can you?" He was quiet for a moment. "Probably not." The Bishops arrived at 6:58 p.m. Older couple, maybe early 40s. The woman moved carefully like someone who'd been through failed IVF cycles and miscarriages and didn't trust her body anymore. The man kept his arm around her waist. They paused at the door, and she said something I couldn't hear. He kissed her forehead. They went inside. 3 couples. 1 baby. $2.5 million in total fraud if Amanda and Brennan followed their usual pattern. My phone buzzed. "Amanda. Meeting starting. Might run until 8:30 or 9. I checked the camera feed on my laptop. The conference room showed all 3 couples seated around the table, making awkward small talk. The Pattersons and Kowalskis had apparently discovered they were both expecting in March. Mrs. Patterson was asking Mrs. Kowalski about nursery themes. Amanda walked into frame at 7:02 p.m. She wore her professional outfit, navy blazer, white blouse, black slacks. Her hair was down, styled the way she did for important meetings. She carried the same leather portfolio she'd used when we bought our house, when we signed Emily's preschool enrollment forms, when we planned our lives together. "Good evening, everyone," her voice came through my laptop speaker. "Thank you so much for coming. I know how precious your time is, especially during this exciting journey." The couples smiled at her, trusted her. She moved to the head of the table. "I wanted to bring you all together tonight because Elite Family Coordination is implementing some new policies, and I believe in transparency with our families." Mrs. Bishop leaned forward, eager. "We're expanding our support services," Amanda continued, "adding more counseling resources, additional medical monitoring, enhanced communication protocols. Your experience matters to us, and we want to ensure—" The conference room door opened. David Brennan walked in, and I felt my hands tighten on the laptop. He wore an expensive suit, the kind that probably cost more than our mortgage payment. His smile was practiced, professional. The smile of someone who'd built a medical empire and knew how to work a room. "Apologies for being late," he said. Traffic was murder. Amanda's expression didn't change, but I saw her shoulders stiffen slightly. This wasn't planned. Brennan wasn't supposed to be here tonight. I'd checked the calendar, cross-referenced their text messages. He had a hospital board meeting across town. Something was wrong. Tyler must have seen my face. What? Brennan showed up. Is that bad? I don't know. On screen, Brennan took a seat beside Amanda. The couples looked confused but not alarmed. Mr. Patterson introduced himself, shook Brennan's hand. David Brennan, he said warmly. I'm the medical director for Elite Family Coordination. I oversee all our genetic testing and health screening protocols. The lies came so easily, like he'd told them 1,000 times. Amanda recovered smoothly. Dr. Brennan usually handles the clinical side of our operations. Since we're discussing enhanced medical monitoring, I thought it would be valuable to have him here. Mrs. Kowalski raised her hand slightly, tentative. I actually had some questions about the genetic testing. The timeline seemed faster than what my OB/GYN mentioned was typical. Brennan smiled. We use advanced screening methods through Brennan Medical Solutions. Our labs can process results in half the time of standard facilities. It's one of the advantages of working with Elite Family Coordination. You get access to cutting-edge medical technology. More lies, smoother than Amanda's. I watched Mrs. Kowalski nod, reassured. Watched her husband squeeze her hand. Tyler was reading something on his phone. Jackson. Yeah. You need to see this. He turned his screen toward me. A news article dated 2 hours ago. Brennan Medical Solutions under federal investigation for insurance fraud. I scanned the text. The FBI had executed search warrants at 3 Brennan medical facilities in Denver. Allegations of billing fraud, falsified test results, kickback schemes with pharmaceutical companies. The investigation had been ongoing for 6 months. 6 months. The same timeline as Amanda's affair. Holy hell, Tyler said quietly. On my laptop, the meeting continued. Amanda was explaining the new communication protocols, how families would receive weekly updates, how they could text or call anytime with questions or concerns. The couples were eating it up, grateful for the attention. Mr. Bishop cleared his throat. When do we get to meet our surrogate? Kelly, right? We've only seen photos so far. Amanda didn't miss a beat. Kelly's actually on modified bed rest right now. Her OB/GYN wants to minimize stress during the 2nd trimester. But we're planning a video call next week so you can all connect. All. She'd said all. Mrs. Patterson looked confused. All? Are there other families working with Kelly? The room went very still. Amanda's smile stayed perfect. I misspoke. I meant you'll all have the opportunity to connect with your respective surrogates. We're coordinating several pregnancies right now, and sometimes I mix up the details. My apologies. But the damage was done. I could see it in how the couples glanced at each other, a flicker of uncertainty crossing their faces. Brennan jumped in. Amanda works with so many families, it's understandable. Each of you has your own unique surrogate match, your own journey. The Pattersons are working with Kelly Martinez. The Kowalskis are working with... He paused, pulling out his phone like he was checking records. Jennifer Caldwell. And the Bishops are working with Maria Santos. I felt my stomach drop. He was improvising, creating fake surrogates on the spot to cover Amanda's mistake. But the couples didn't know that. They nodded, accepting the explanation. Mrs. Kowalski frowned. I thought our surrogate was named Kelly. That's what the paperwork said. Tyler looked at me. This is falling apart. On screen, Amanda's professional mask finally cracked. Just for a second, a flash of panic in her eyes before she recovered. Let me pull up your file. I want to make sure we have the correct information. She opened her laptop, made a show of clicking through documents. You're absolutely right. I apologize for the confusion. Your surrogate is Kelly Martinez. Jennifer Caldwell is another family we're working with, not present tonight. Brennan nodded along, but I could see the tension in his jaw. They were scrambling, trying to keep the lies straight. Mr. Patterson stood up. Wait, you just said we're working with Kelly Martinez too. Silence. Mrs. Bishop's voice was small, frightened. Our paperwork also says Kelly Martinez. The conference room felt like a vacuum. All three couples staring at Amanda and Brennan. Amanda's hand frozen on her laptop keyboard. Brennan's practiced smile finally slipping. There's been a clerical error, Amanda said, but her voice had lost its warmth. We'll need to review the files and… We all have the same surrogate, Mr. Kowalski said flatly. Don't we? It wasn't a question. Tyler gripped my shoulder. Jackson, you need to get in there. But I couldn't move. I was watching my wife's face as the room erupted. Three couples talking over each other, demanding answers, voices rising. Watching her look at Brennan with something like terror. Watching the whole fraud collapse in real time. Mrs. Patterson was crying. Mr. Bishop had his phone out, already dialing. Mrs. Kowalski was shouting about lawyers. Brennan stood, hands raised. Please, everyone calm down. This is clearly a misunderstanding that we can… Which one of us is getting the baby? Mr. Patterson's voice cut through the chaos. When Kelly Martinez gives birth in March, which family gets that child? Amanda opened her mouth, closed it. For the first time since I'd known her, she had no answer. That's when I grabbed my folder of evidence and got out of the car. The conference room had become a pressure cooker about to blow. What do you mean, all? Christina Warren's voice cut through the rising noise. How many couples are you coordinating for Kelly Martinez? Amanda's face had gone from pale to gray. I misspoke. I meant… You said, all of you have meetings scheduled, Michael Warren interrupted, standing now. How many of us are there? I stepped fully into the room, my phone already recording. 3, I said quietly. 3 couples, 1 baby. Every head turned toward me. Amanda's eyes went wide, her mouth opening but no sound coming out. Jackson? She took a step toward me, then stopped. What are you… You're supposed to be in Boulder, the conference. There is no conference. I pulled out the printed documents Tyler had helped me compile. But there is Kelly Martinez, due in 6 weeks. And there's the Warrens, who paid $85,000 for her baby. And the Pattersons, who paid $90,000. And the Reynoldses, who paid $88,000. David Brennan moved toward the door, but I was blocking it. His jaw tightened. This is a private business meeting. You need to leave. I'm not going anywhere. I looked at Amanda. Neither is he. Not until everyone here understands what you've been doing. Lisa Patterson had her phone out, scrolling frantically. Kelly Martinez. I have her file right here. She's our surrogate. We've been working with her for 4 months. So have we, Christina Warren said, her own phone now in her hands. Since August, we've met her twice. She's carrying our baby, our genetic child. That's impossible, Brian Reynolds said, but his voice had lost its certainty. He was looking at his wife, who had gone very still. The DNA test confirmed… The DNA test was fabricated, I said. I held up a printout. Brennan Medical Solutions processes all the genetic testing for elite family coordination. Convenient, since David Brennan owns both companies. The room erupted. That's a serious accusation, Brennan said, but sweat had appeared on his forehead. Our lab is fully accredited. By organizations you sit on the board of, I continued. And you're currently under FBI investigation for insurance fraud and falsified test results. I'm sure they'd be very interested in your surrogacy operation. Amanda grabbed my arm. Jackson, stop! You don't understand what you're doing. I pulled away from her. I understand perfectly. You've been selling the same baby to multiple families. After delivery, one family gets the child. The others get told there were complications, stillbirth, medical emergency, whatever story sounds plausible. You issue a partial refund and rely on their grief to keep them from asking too many questions. That's insane, Amanda said, but her voice shook. Why would we? $2.1 million. I spread the bank statements across the conference table. That's how much elite family coordination has processed in the last 18 months. 7 babies delivered, 14 families paid. You keep the money, destroy lives, and move on to the next victims. Michael Warren had his phone to his ear. Yes, I need to report fraud. Multiple families have been... Brennan lunged for him, but Tyler appeared in the doorway, blocking his exit. I hadn't even heard my friend come in. I wouldn't, Tyler said calmly. There are 2 Denver PD officers in the lobby. They're very interested in having a conversation. That was a bluff. We hadn't called the police yet, but Brennan didn't know that. He froze, looking between Tyler and the door. Amanda sank into a chair, her head in her hands. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen? Christina Warren demanded. She was crying now, her husband's arm around her shoulders. We've been preparing for our daughter for months. We painted her nursery. We bought her clothes. And you were just going to... What? Tell us she died? We would have made it right, Amanda said weakly. We always make it right. By lying. Lisa Patterson's voice was ice. By stealing our money and breaking our hearts? I pulled out another document. Kelly Martinez isn't the only one. There's Sarah Davis, Rachel Foster, currently pregnant with twins. You've promised those twins to 4 different couples. And Maria Gonzalez, due in 3 months. 3 couples waiting for her baby. Brian Reynolds had gone to the window, his back to the room. His shoulders shook. His wife sat motionless, staring at nothing. The babies you already delivered, I continued, looking at Amanda. Those families need to be contacted. They need to know their children might not be genetically related to them. And the families who were told their babies died need to know the truth. You can't prove any of this, Brennan said, but his voice had lost its authority. These are just bank statements and speculation. I have the calendar, I said. Every appointment, every meeting, every payment schedule. I have emails between you and Amanda discussing which family to give each baby to. I have the fabricated DNA reports with metadata showing they were created in your lab after the genetic testing was supposedly done at outside facilities. Tyler held up his own phone. And we've already sent copies to the FBI agent investigating Brennan Medical Solutions. She was very interested in expanding her case. That wasn't entirely true either. We'd prepared the email but hadn't sent it yet. But the look on Brennan's face told me he believed it. Amanda looked up at me, mascara streaking her cheeks. Jackson, please. Think about Emily and Grace. Think about what this will do to them. I am thinking about them, I said quietly. I'm thinking about how their mother has been destroying families while pretending to help them. I'm thinking about how many other children are out there who don't know their real genetic history. I'm thinking about how you used our daughters as cover for human trafficking. Human trafficking? Amanda's voice rose. That's not what this is. You're selling babies, Christina Warren said flatly. What else would you call it? The door opened and two actual police officers appeared. Tyler must have called them from the hallway. We received a report of fraud, the older officer said, looking around the room. Who's in charge here? 6 people pointed at Amanda and Brennan. What happened next moved with the strange, slow-motion clarity of a car accident. The officers separated everyone, taking statements. More police arrived. Someone from the district attorney's office showed up, then someone from the FBI. The conference room became a crime scene. I watched Amanda being led away in handcuffs, still trying to explain, still trying to make it sound less monstrous than it was. She looked at me once, her eyes pleading, but I looked away. Brennan went quietly, already on his phone to his lawyer. His wife would find out soon, if she didn't already know. Maybe she was the one who sent me that first screenshot. Maybe she'd been waiting for this moment. The 3 couples stayed, giving statements, demanding answers. How many other families? How many babies? Could they trust anything they'd been told? Tyler stood beside me as we watched the police photograph documents, bag evidence, clear the room. You okay? He asked. No, I said. But I will be. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thank you. I've been trying to find proof for months. Jennifer Brennan. So it had been her. Brennan's wife, watching her husband destroy families while destroying their own marriage. She'd sent me the screenshot knowing I'd dig deeper, knowing I'd find what she couldn't prove alone. I texted back. Your husband's victims needed to know. So did mine. Another buzz. The FBI will want to talk to you. I gave them your number. I hope that's okay. It's fine, I replied. I want to help. Tyler drove me home around midnight. The house was dark. Amanda's mother had picked up Emily and Grace hours ago, told them Mommy had to work late. They'd learn the truth eventually, but not tonight. Tonight they could sleep thinking their world was still intact. I sat in Tyler's car, looking at the house Amanda and I had bought together. The life we'd built that turned out to be constructed on lies. What now? Tyler asked. Now I figure out how to tell my daughters their mother is going to prison, I said. And then I help every family she destroyed get whatever justice is possible. The holding room at the Denver FBI field office smelled like burnt coffee and industrial cleaner. I sat in a chair that had probably been uncomfortable in 1987 and hadn't improved with age, watching Special Agent Victoria Cross organize stacks of documents across the conference table. We've been tracking Brennan Medical Solutions for 8 months, she said, not looking up from her papers. Different investigation, financial fraud, Medicare billing schemes. Your wife's operation wasn't even on our radar. Tyler shifted in the chair beside me. We'd been here for 3 hours, going through everything I'd collected. The calendar manipulation, the payment records, the pattern of families being told their babies had died. How many? I asked. Total families affected? Cross finally looked up. She was maybe 45, with gray-streaked hair pulled back and the kind of face that had seen too much to be surprised by anything. We're still counting. Your documentation gave us 7 completed surrogacies with multiple families per pregnancy. But we pulled Brennan's business records. Elite Family Coordination has been operating for 3 years, not 18 months. My stomach dropped. 3 years? The earlier cases were cleaner. One family per surrogate, legitimate arrangements. The fraud escalated over time. She slid a spreadsheet across the table. We've identified 43 families who paid Elite Family Coordination. 19 received babies. 24 were told their surrogate miscarried or the baby died. The numbers blurred together. 43 families. 24 who got nothing but grief and a partial refund. What about the 19 who got babies? Tyler asked the question I couldn't form. Are they genetically related to the intended parents? We don't know yet. Cross pulled out another file. Brennan owns 3 medical laboratories. We're getting warrants for all their DNA testing records, but he had access to falsify any results he wanted. Every family received documentation showing genetic matches, but we have to assume those were fabricated. I thought about the Pattersons, the Kowalskis, the Bishops, 3 couples who'd been minutes away from a meeting where they'd learned they were getting Kelly Martinez's baby. They were in other rooms now, giving their own statements. The surrogate, I said. Kelly Martinez. Is she part of this? We don't think so. Most of the surrogates appear to be victims, too. Cross opened another file. We've located 6 of the 7 surrogates from your timeline. They were paid as promised, told the babies went to loving families. None of them knew multiple families were being promised the same child. What about the DNA? I asked. Whose genetic material was actually used? Cross's expression darkened. That's where this gets worse. We executed a warrant on Brennan's personal lab 2 hours ago, found a genetic material storage facility. Sperm samples, egg samples, all carefully cataloged. She paused. Preliminary analysis suggests he was using a limited donor pool. Maybe 5 or 6 individuals total across all the pregnancies. Jesus Christ, Tyler muttered. Were the surrogate's own eggs used? I asked. In some cases, yes. In others, donor eggs. We're still mapping it out. Cross pulled out a photograph. We found this in Brennan's office safe. The photo showed a young man, maybe 25, with Brennan's same jawline and dark eyes. His son? Nephew, Jason Brennan. Died in a car accident 4 years ago. Cross tapped the photo. We're running DNA comparisons now, but we think several of the babies might be genetically Jason's. Brennan had extensive genetic material stored from before the accident. The room felt like it was tilting. He was using his dead nephew's sperm? It's a theory. We'll know more when the DNA results come back. Cross gathered the photos back into the file. Your wife's role appears to be primarily administrative and recruitment. She handled the family-facing side, meetings, contract negotiations, coordination. Brennan managed the medical aspects, the laboratory work, the DNA manipulation. How much money? I asked. Gross revenue over 3 years, approximately $4.8 million. After expenses, surrogate payments, refunds to families whose babies died, they cleared about $2.9 million. Split between them. I'd seen our joint bank account that morning. Amanda had $47,000 in a personal savings account I'd known about. Where was the rest? Cross anticipated the question. We found 3 offshore accounts in your wife's name. Total balance, $1.2 million. Brennan had similar accounts. He also has significant assets. The house, the labs, investments. We're freezing everything. What happens now? Tyler asked. Your wife and Brennan are being held without bail. Federal charges. Wire fraud. Mail fraud. Conspiracy to commit fraud. The U.S. attorney is also considering human trafficking charges, though those are harder to prove. Cross looked directly at me. The state prosecutor wants to add baby selling charges. Colorado law is specific about that. How long? My voice sounded hollow. If convicted on all counts? Brennan's looking at 25 to 30 years. Your wife? Cross hesitated. 15 to 20 probably. Her cooperation could reduce that. 15 to 20 years. Emily would be 26 when Amanda got out. Grace would be 24. They'd grow up without their mother. They'd grow up knowing what their mother had done. The families are filing civil suits, Cross continued. The ones who received babies and now don't know if they're genetically related. The ones who were told their babies died and paid for funerals that never happened. The emotional damages alone. We had a college fund for our daughters, I said. About $30,000. Is that going to be seized? Cross's expression softened slightly. Marital assets are complicated. You'll need a lawyer, but generally, assets acquired through criminal activity are subject to forfeiture. Assets you can prove came from legitimate income, your salary, for example, should be protected. But your wife's income from elite family coordination is tainted. I made $95,000 last year, I said. She claims she made about $60,000 from the surrogate coordination. We filed joint tax returns. The IRS is going to be very interested in those returns. She was reporting $60,000, but actually making closer to $400,000 annually. Cross pulled out a business card. You need to talk to a criminal defense attorney and a family law attorney. Today. The U.S. Attorney's Office may want to question you further, and you need representation. I didn't know anything about this. I believe you. But you're still married to a defendant in a federal fraud case. Protect yourself. Tyler took the card, pocketed it. What about the kids? His daughters? Child Protective Services was notified. Given that Mr. Reeves had no knowledge of the criminal activity and the children weren't in danger, they're not intervening. But Cross looked at me again. You should think about what you're going to tell them. And when. Emily and Grace were at Amanda's mother's house. I'd told them Mommy had to help with a work emergency. How long could I maintain that fiction? When can I see her? I asked. Amanda. Cross raised an eyebrow. You want to? No, but I need to. I needed to look at her face and understand how I'd shared a bed with someone capable of this, how I'd trusted her with our daughters, with our life, while she was systematically destroying other families. She's entitled to visitors. You'd have to go through the detention center's process. But Mr. Reeves. Cross leaned forward. Anything she says to you isn't privileged. You're not her lawyer. If she confesses something or implicates herself further, you could be subpoenaed to testify about that conversation. I don't want to help her case or hurt it. I just need to understand. Then talk to your lawyer first. Let them advise you. Cross stood, gathering her files. We'll need you to come back tomorrow. We're interviewing all the families, and there may be questions about your wife's behavior, timeline, anything you observe that might be relevant. Okay. And Mr. Reeves? I'm sorry. I know that doesn't help, but you did the right thing. Those families deserve to know the truth. Tyler and I walked out into the late afternoon sunlight. November in Denver meant the temperature was already dropping. The sky that particular shade of blue that came before sunset. You need food, Tyler said. When's the last time you ate? I couldn't remember. I need to call Amanda's mother. Figure out what to tell the girls. Not yet. Food first, then lawyer, then kids. Tyler steered me toward his car. You can't take care of them if you collapse. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Beth Patterson. The FBI told us you're the one who figured this out. Thank you. I don't know if we'll ever get answers, but at least we know the truth now. Then another. Ryan Kowalski here. Our lawyer says we might have a case against you too since you're married to her. Just wanted you to know that's not happening. You saved us from raising a child we would have loved while never knowing two other families were going through the same thing. We're grateful. And another. Jennifer Brennan. Can we meet? I have information the FBI doesn't know yet. About the babies. About what David was really doing. I stared at that last message. Jennifer Brennan. The woman who'd sent me the first screenshot. Who detonated my entire life with a single image. She had more information. About the babies. I showed Tyler the phone. Holy hell, he said. You gonna meet her? Yeah, I said. I think I have to. I met Jennifer Brennan 3 days later at a coffee shop in Cherry Hills Village, far enough from downtown that we wouldn't run into reporters. The media had gotten hold of the story. Denver couple arrested in multi-million-dollar baby fraud scheme was the headline that kept appearing on my phone. She was waiting at a corner table, wearing sunglasses despite being indoors. When she saw me, she took them off. Her eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. Thank you for coming, she said. I sat down across from her. You said you had information. I do. She pulled out a manila folder, slid it across the table. David kept records, detailed records. I found them in a safe deposit box I didn't know he had. Inside were medical charts, genetic profiles, photographs of babies. 19 photographs to be exact. 19 children born through elite family coordination over 3 years. He was obsessed with genetics, Jennifer said quietly. After Jason died, our nephew, David became fixated on preserving his bloodline. He'd stored Jason's genetic material years earlier, back when Jason was healthy. He thought he was doing something noble, creating children who carried on Jason's legacy. I looked at the genetic profiles. 12 of the 19 babies showed Jason Brennan as the biological father. Different surrogates, different donor eggs in some cases, but the same paternal DNA. The other 7? I asked. David's own genetic material, from before his vasectomy. Jennifer's hands shook as she reached for her coffee. He couldn't have more children naturally. We'd made that choice 15 years ago, but he'd stored samples, just in case. 7 children. 7 families who thought they were getting their biological babies, all of them actually raising David Brennan's offspring. The FBI needs to see this, I said. I'm meeting with them tomorrow. I wanted you to know first. Jennifer looked at me directly. Your wife didn't know, not at first. David told her they were using legitimate donor profiles, that everything was properly documented. She believed him for almost a year. When did she find out? About 18 months ago. I saw the emails. She confronted him, threatened to go to the authorities. He convinced her they were too deep, that she'd go to prison too if the truth came out. So she stayed. And she helped him cover it up. 18 months. The same timeline I'd discovered. Amanda had known for 18 months and said nothing. Had taken the money, scheduled the meetings, looked those families in the eye and lied. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Jennifer was quiet for a long moment. Because you have daughters. And because those 19 children deserve to know the truth about where they came from. The families deserve to know. And I thought, maybe it would help. To know she didn't start this. She just didn't have the courage to stop it. It didn't help. but I understood why she'd wanted to tell me. What happens to the children now? I asked. The FBI is coordinating DNA testing for all 19 families. They'll know within a few weeks whether the babies are genetically related to them or not. Jennifer pulled out another document. I'm setting up a trust fund. Everything David and I own, the house, the business assets, everything, is being liquidated. The money will be divided among the families. It won't fix what happened, but it's something. That's not legally required. No, but it's right. She stood, gathering her folder. I spent 20 years married to a man I thought I knew. I won't spend the rest of my life pretending his victims don't matter. After she left, I sat in the coffee shop for another hour, looking at my phone. I'd been avoiding the inevitable conversation, but it couldn't wait any longer. I called Amanda's mother. Jackson. Her voice was cold. She'd been warm and welcoming for 8 years, treating me like the son she'd never had. That was over now. The girls are asking for their mother. I know. I'm coming to get them tonight. We need to talk first. About what you've done to my daughter? I closed my eyes. About what your daughter did to 19 families, and what I'm going to tell Emily and Grace. Silence. Then, she made mistakes. But you destroyed her life. She destroyed her own life. I just made sure there were consequences. Those are my granddaughters, Jackson. If you think I'm going to let you poison them against their mother, I'm going to tell them the truth, I said quietly. In age-appropriate language. I'm going to explain that Mommy made very bad choices that hurt people, and now she has to face consequences. I'm going to make sure they know it's not their fault, that they're loved, that their lives will be different, but they'll be okay. She's their mother. And she's a criminal. Both things are true. I stood, headed for my car. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Have them ready. The drive to Amanda's mother's house took me through our old neighborhood. Past the grocery store where I'd gotten that first screenshot. Past the elementary school where Emily was in first grade. Past the park where we'd had Grace's 4th birthday party 3 months ago. Amanda smiling in every photo while secretly coordinating fraud against desperate families. Emily and Grace were waiting on the porch with their overnight bags. Emily's face lit up when she saw me. Daddy, where's Mommy? I knelt down, pulled them both into a hug. Mommy can't come home right now, sweetheart. We need to talk about that. Amanda's mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed. Jackson, please, don't do this. But I had to. Because those 19 families were having similar conversations with their children. Because somewhere out there, a family was learning the baby they'd loved for 2 years wasn't genetically theirs. Because another family was learning the child they'd mourned had actually been born healthy and given to strangers. Because my daughters deserved better than lies. That night, after I'd explained in the simplest terms I could manage, after Emily had cried and Grace had asked when Mommy was coming back, after I'd held them both until they fell asleep in my bed, I sat in the darkness and thought about consequences. Amanda would plead guilty to 15 federal charges. The prosecutor offered a deal, 12 years in exchange for her testimony against Brennan and full cooperation in identifying all the families they'd defrauded. Her lawyer advised her to take it. David Brennan would go to trial and lose. 28 years in federal prison. He'd be 73 when he got out. The 19 families would get DNA results. Some would learn the children they loved were genetically theirs after all. Amanda and Brennan had occasionally told the truth, if only by accident. Others would learn their children carried Jason Brennan's DNA, or David's. or belonged to donors they'd never consented to. They'd have to decide what to do with that information. The 24 families who'd been told their babies died would learn the truth. Some of those babies had actually been stillborn. Not every pregnancy ends successfully, even without fraud. But others had been born healthy and given to different families. DNA testing would sort it out eventually, but the emotional damage was already done. Elite Family Coordination's assets would be liquidated. The families would file civil suits. Some would win settlements. None of it would undo the trauma, and I would raise Emily and Grace alone, explaining to them as they grew older exactly what their mother had done. Why she'd made those choices. Why sometimes people we love are capable of terrible things. 6 months later, I stood in a family court, finalizing my divorce from a woman serving time in federal prison. Amanda appeared via video link, wearing prison scrubs, her hair shorter than I'd ever seen it. "I'm sorry," she said when the judge asked if she had anything to say. "To Jackson, to our daughters, to all the families, I'm sorry." The judge granted the divorce. I got full custody of Emily and Grace. Amanda got supervised visitation rights, pending her release in 12 years. As I left the courthouse, my phone buzzed. A message from Beth Patterson. DNA results came back. Kelly's baby is genetically ours. We're bringing our daughter home next week. Thank you for giving us the truth, even when it was painful. Not all the families were that lucky. The Kowalskis learned their son carried Jason Brennan's DNA. They were still deciding whether to tell him when he got older. The Bishops had withdrawn from the surrogacy entirely, unable to trust the process anymore. But some stories had unexpected endings. 2 families who'd both been promised the same baby, one told the child died, one who received her, had connected through the FBI investigation. After DNA testing confirmed the baby girl wasn't genetically related to either couple, they'd made an unusual choice: shared custody. The baby would grow up knowing both families, loved by 2 sets of parents who'd been victims of the same fraud. I thought about that as I drove to pick up Emily and Grace from school. About how people find ways to heal, to build new families from broken pieces, to choose love even when they've been given every reason not to trust. Amanda had taught me that the people we think we know best can harbor devastating secrets. That trust, once broken, leaves scars that never fully heal. That love isn't enough if it's built on lies. But Emily and Grace were teaching me something different. That children are resilient. That honesty, even painful honesty, builds stronger foundations than comfortable deceptions. That family isn't just about biology or legal documents. It's about showing up, telling the truth, and doing the hard work of healing together. I pulled up to the school and saw my daughters waiting by the fence. Emily waved, her smile bright despite everything. Grace was showing her teacher a drawing she'd made, our family she'd told me that morning. Just the 3 of us now, but still whole. I'd spent 8 years married to someone I thought I knew, building a life that turned out to be constructed on sand. But I had 12 years ahead of me to show my daughters what integrity looked like. What it meant to do the right thing even when it cost everything. What it meant to choose truth over comfort, justice over convenience, healing over hiding. The people we love will sometimes disappoint us in ways we never imagined possible. But that doesn't mean we stop loving, stop trusting, stop building. It means we love with our eyes open. We trust carefully, verify constantly, and remember that character reveals itself not in grand gestures but in small, daily choices. Amanda made her choices. I made mine. And Emily and Grace would someday make theirs, shaped by both examples. The cautionary tale of what happens when we prioritize money over morality, and the harder lesson that doing the right thing doesn't always feel good, but it's the only way to live with yourself when the dust settles. I got out of the car and walked toward my daughters, ready to take them home.